Start. Again, welcome everyone. My name is John Megling. This is part of our Better Together series. Again, as I mentioned, part 5 of our 5-part series. If you missed the other parts, I definitely have those available for you to view. So if that's something you're interested in viewing, you're more than welcome to contact me, and I can get you those those links. It's John, John, period, Megling, Moeglling, at techdata.com, or just ask for Tech Data and you'll get me. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started in a few slides here, and then we'll actually get to why we're here, is to talk about the System Center family of products. So just to cover the team real quick, this is the Microsoft team at Tech Data. We kind of let you know we have a large group of people to support you in many different ways, whether it's from a sales or system engineering standpoint. Right now, today, we're pretty much on the technical part of this series, so this is the system engineering piece of the Better Together, things that we're doing for customers. This is our list, and again, if this is something you want, contact me. The slides should be there for you to download too, if you'd like to download it. But this is all our contact information, not only mine. As you can see, I'm option 2 off of the 82031 extension, but we have a lot of other stuff that we can do for you here too. It's CASA, Open Value, Cloud, option 5, option 1 is like our licensing team. So just to kind of show you what we have going on there related to that. And also some tools that we put together, just so some things that you guys can take note of. Some customers know about, some don't. We have a nice couple tools called the Slicer Matrix and the Quick Reference Guide to help you guys find part numbers. Part numbers are part of life. Some of you may deal with it, some may not, but it will allow you to get the part numbers you need really quickly. We also have a lot of other things to take data between Stream 1, TD Mobility. Again, all these things can be referenced right from our techdata.com website, as well as our product sales tool, and also the Solution Center. So I know a lot of customers have already made it to the Solution Center, but we have pretty much everything Microsoft does in the Solution Center. We're cloud integrated. So again, if you want to take a look at what, or you want us to provide a demo related to some of the technology you see today, or if you have more questions about the things you see today, you're more than welcome to contact me. Again, the Microsoft Engineering, John Megling at Tech Data. And also, another thing, we're the only distributor that's certified to provide the Microsoft Experience Center. So if that's something you want more information on, the MEC is really cool. It's a way to run you or your sales staff or even your customers through an interactive session, where they use the Microsoft products so they can see the value in them. Again, I would be the contact, myself or Joe Johnson here, regarding the MEC Tech Data. With that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Blaine so he can cover in the material that we're here to talk about today.
Thanks, John. And also, if you've missed out on the other 4 parts, then you're really missing out. So we're on part 5, System Center 2012. That's what I'm going to cover today. Also, we do have Roan Daly has been joining us in some of the part series that we've already conducted, as well as Adnan Cartwright. Mr. Adnan Cartwright is an MVP for Windows deployment and Windows Server, and he's going to be doing some demos on System Center here at the end shortly. So once again, I'm Blaine Barton, Senior IT Pro Evangelist, working with Tech Data to bring you information about surrounding Microsoft technologies. There's my blog, ak.ms/Blaine Barton, and there's my email address right there. I'm not afraid. There it is, blainebar@microsoft.com. So use me as a resource.
I think you need to take over as the presenter real quick, Blaine, so you can.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry about that.
Are the slides not changing?
No, they're not up right now. I think if you just take over as the presenter, you'll be fine. There you go.
Okay. See you now?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, thanks, man. Did I tell you that you guys had your own download links? There it is. ak.ms/tech data downloads. So what we do is we have a page on my blog that has all of the downloads that are available, even the 8.1 Windows preview, as well as the R2 for Windows Server 2012. Those preview bits are also on the page. So what we're trying to do is consolidate all of the links all over Microsoft.com and specifically TechNet and bring that into one area where you can get all of the products in one stop shop. So once again, tech data downloads. You really need to gear up your skills if you're looking at going out and possibly selling or implementing Windows Server 2012 and System Center 2012. So we're going to help you, give you the right information and the right tools to do that. Maybe you've just catching us for the first part 5 of 5, but we did do part 1 of 5, which was Windows Server Private Cloud, to explain really what Microsoft Private Cloud is all about and those components that make up Private Cloud, which is going to be System Center, which we'll talk about today, as well as Windows Server and Hyper-V on bare metal. Then we went into part 2 of 5, what's new in Hyper-V. We covered kind of some of the integration of the technologies inside our hypervisor for Hyper-V 3.0 and showed some of those pieces. And then part 3 of 5, automation management, management console. Part 4, file and storage services. And now we're going to get into System Center. What we're going to do today as well is cover System Center in general, and then Mr. Adnan Cartwright's going to do a couple of the demos on App Controller, System Center, and Virtual Machine Manager. So the first thing here is looking at the System Center, Windows Server 2008 R2, SQL Server 2008 R2, and bring that into Stack. We now have the ability to bring in to System Center and Virtual Machine Manager the Microsoft Hyper-V, of course, but more importantly, the other hypervisors that are out there in the market today. So Citrix Zen servers, also VMware. You can bring in as long as you have a vCenter server, you can see your ESXi host, and you can see Citrix, VMware, and Microsoft all on a single pane of glass as we move into System Center 2012, but more importantly, have some new features about the cloud enablement and Azure services within System Center 2012 R2, which is in preview right now. Those are also available from the Tech Data Downloads page. So we've made a lot of strides with bringing in the new technologies into System Center, and being able to manage those 3 hypervisors in a single pane of glass, which is a huge undertaking by our development teams to get that built. This slide is the SP1 features. There's also some new features that are getting added into R2, but there's a lot here to cover, including when we look at live migration of storage migration, and looking at being able to support your Unix Linux hosts to be able to deploy and upgrade and install Unix or Linux, and making this kind of an open stack, if you will, of all the technologies, and be able to manage that from one single point. Deploying Virtual Machine Manager services, being able to create VMs, and also converting a virtual machine, say from a VMDK to a VHD, a P to V, V to V, physical to virtual, or virtual to virtual. So all those conversions and those types of technologies are inside System Center 2012. We also have the latest Zen server and vSphere support, as I mentioned, a logical switch support, AppV, application compatibility inside of System Center. And there's a lot of components with System Center. There's App Controller, there's Virtual Machine Manager, Configuration Manager, Operations Manager, Service Manager, Orchestrator, and I think I mentioned Service Manager. There's a whole bunch of components in the System Center suite. So a lot of folks will just focus on one main component of System Center, like maybe they're a specialist in Configuration Manager, or they're a specialist in Operations Manager, or the other one that is in the stack is Data Protection Manager, DPM. So now, System Center's gotten really, really large, and the components that it offers. So, I'm just here to give you kind of an insight as to what System Center 2012 brings and all the components that make up that whole stack inside the System Center suite. So lots of technology there. But next one I want to show you is how we are able to. Actually, the bill's not working there, so I'll go to the next slide here. But System Center is stacking up between System Center 2012 and then what we've added into System Center 2012 SP1. So Hyper-V, and also now this is pretty cool. We had this with Windows Server 2008 R2. We introduced boot from VHD. So we got that's huge. Being able to boot to VHD and having a VHD on the root of C using the technology to be able to boot to that virtual hard disk file. And when you boot to the hard disk file, it actually goes in and it does a plug and play bus enumeration on the fly. It finds the devices on bare metal, and it's although you've kind of dual booted into the system, but you're actually booting into the virtual hard disk. It's residing once again on the root of C, and we use the boot the BCD edit tool to make some configurations where it can actually boot into there without doing any partitioning, without doing any extra disk or volume creation. We can simply boot right into the VHD. We can also configure the cluster, physical Hyper-V cluster. You can do that in System Center 2012, but when SP1 was introduced, we got bigger clusters. So 16 to 64 nodes, we had a big, huge jump there. Bigger hosts, 64 is what we had. 320 core, 1 terabyte to 4 terabyte, so much larger and larger VMs. 64 virtual CPUs and 1 terabyte of RAM inside a virtual machine. So we've come a long way from just between the 2012 and the 2012 SP1. And then, of course, System Center 2012 R2 even brings some more additional features, and we'll get to that. John and I were talking about having us return to do some R2, Windows Server 2012 R2 and System Center 2012 R2. Those are in preview right now, as well as 8.1 of Windows. And so we'd like to come back and share that information with you as soon as those products come out of preview. So there's information on our website as well about the preview products for R2. And this is what we got today. We kind of want to go ahead and sell what we got today. Isolated tenant networks, IP virtualization, multiple virtual switch management with inside of your environment, being able to use SMB 3.0 to have, such as, getting a virtual machine to migrate on this file share using SMB3 without any NAS or SAN support, live storage migration, and then, of course, multiple live migrations simultaneously. So lots of things have been added into the SP1. As we look at, kind of looking at from a developer perspective, we look at adding in the ability to have System Center as our manageability suite for everything that we do in the enterprise. So when we look at also adding custom line of business applications in, we oftentimes have to work with our developer teams in ensuring that the product is built properly or an application is built properly, that it's working in the environment, in a test developer environment before we bring that into production. So there are ways in which we can kind of, for a better term, sandbox or basically carve out a part for the development teams to be able to have some self-service opportunities, to be able to create VMs when they need it, for us as admins to be able to allow them to have certain virtual machines that they can spin up at any one given time without having them have to go through, say, a request for a proposal to get new hardware, to provision get procurement to get the new hardware, to build the new server, to go and provision the operating system, and then have a server in which they can test on. Virtual Machine Manager and also System Center gives us the ability to, and also the virtualization, be able to spin up VMs in the cloud or on premise very, very quickly using templates and using kind of a standard image that we can clone, if you will, and have multiple instances of. So it gives developers an opportunity to do a little bit more self-service instead of having to, and being able to spin up things very quickly without having to go through this whole long, series of events to get their sandbox built out the way they want to. The System Center really allows us to do that. We also have a new global service monitor that's also part of the System Center suite. Gives us the ability to look at the status of what's going on anywhere in the world with applications that are running, be able to show us any kind of alerts that are happening with the applications, response times to fix something, and it gives a kind of a points of presence in a global environment. It tells you what things are working properly in your organization, and more importantly, pinpointing where those things that need to be addressed as far as applications are concerned in your infrastructure. So global service monitors also.
Was it the cake?
Can you still hear?
Yeah, I think we had somebody that just wasn't on mute. Sorry.
Okay, I got you. No problem. So we look at also opportunities to do things like multi-tenant isolation. So you have tenant A and tenant B, and you're a host provider. You can isolate multi-tenant support for your customers and use, virtual switching that doesn't overlap with other customers in your environment. Be able to have that based on also bringing that down to the service provider foundation, and then having multiple networks or virtual networks inside of your environment, and be able to manage that with System Center. So as you see down below, you've got Virtual Machine Manager 1, Virtual Machine Manager 2, Virtual Machine Manager 3. But yet again, they're using all of this service provider, the funnel through the service provider, but yet all tenants in this environment are isolated from one another. All of their virtual networking is isolated from one another. So while at the same time being able to use kind of the same stack of hardware they're using to manage multiple tenants in your environment, and having the security along with it to support your hosting efforts. The last kind of slide, we're going to get into some demos here in just a moment. But as we push out to the cloud, private cloud, I talked about hybrid cloud and talked about public cloud. So when I talk about Microsoft public cloud, we're talking about Windows Azure and Office 365, and then some of our consumer side services with Xbox Live and Bing, and of course Outlook, Hotmail, Outlook.com, and having those public services available. And then when we talk about private cloud, which is what we're going to get into some demos here with Adnan in just a minute, is the private cloud infrastructure. And he's going to show App Controller and Virtual Machine Manager in the System Center suite, where we have private cloud. So whenever anybody mentions private cloud, that is our Windows Server 2012 Hyper-V virtualization on bare metal running System Center. And then once again, you get this hybrid scenario where you're using things like some Active Directory services for Azure, where you can federate, more importantly, kind of a single sign-on authentication to some applications that are running in our public cloud services with Azure, and still having other server technologies running in the private cloud, having those linked together with public and private cloud, as we call it, a hybrid cloud scenario. We're going to do a demo on App Controller, but what is it? Once again, it's a self-service application for admins to manage your apps inside of your environment, not necessarily all your specific resources, like printers and things like that. You're basically just focusing on applications and being able to have that push those into things like Windows Azure. So with the public-private cloud integration, we'll use VMM, Virtual Machine Manager, your service providers, and the Windows Azure subscriptions. So before we get into the demo, let's just talk about managing services in multiple clouds. As you know, as the new One Microsoft, as we become more specifically a devices and services company, I kind of think that things are going to turn into, being touched by some type of cloud services in the future. And that's, really where I think that the industry is going. And as you noticed, not just Microsoft, but we see a lot of subscription type based services going forward, and less packaged product. And I think, just based on the evolution of cloud computing, software as a service is becoming more digestible by all customers. So as we look at that, managing services in multiple clouds, once again, we have the private cloud on-premise and virtual machine manager. We've got the private public cloud with the service provider foundation with virtual machine manager, and you got your public cloud offerings with Windows Azure. So I just wanted to kind of bring you through a little bit of the marketing and sales type, slide environment. But I think, where we can really, show you what's going on here is to basically do a demo or two to show you the bits. And we're going to use App Controller, Virtual Machine Manager, System Center to do that. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Adnan. Adnan? So you can go ahead and take over as presenter if you want, Adnan. He's on mute.
I'm sorry, I'm talking the whole time and I forgot I was on mute. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adnan Cartwright. I'm a software deployment, servicing, and server MVP. Say that fast 10 times. One thing that I do love about the System Center Suite is that it makes the ease of manageability across the spectrum entirely easy. There's no sole management point now in terms of, okay, VMware is here, Citrix is here, and Hyper-V is here. Let's get into my virtual machine manager server that I have here. And here is basically the main console. When you log in, this is typically what you would see. What I want to point out, key focus, is here in the console under the VM and services tab. If we come right here to create a virtual machine, we can create a virtual machine, which is actually common knowledge to everybody else, but we can also convert a physical machine. So we want to go from virtual to physical or physical to virtual. Those two options are there for us. So if we have a physical machine that's on premise that's consuming a lot of resources in it, or isn't consuming enough resources for us to justify the cost, we can actually convert it to a virtual machine to reduce that cost, to increase a return on investment for the enterprise. One of the nice features that I love is that when you right-click the host here, and you create when you come here, you can add your Hyper-V host, your Citrix Zen server host, as well as your VMware ESX host. You can manage all you can manage all three virtualization stacks across the board within System Center Virtual Machine Manager. That's awesome. That's new to the game. That's something that just revolutionized virtualization within the T. The best part about it is that if I do have a Citrix Zen server and for some reason it's not putting out, I don't have to allow it to remain a Citrix Zen server. I can convert it over to a Hyper-V host if I so desire to reduce costs or to be compliant to my organization. The three key things we do want to point out when dealing with Virtual Machine Manager and System Center is the fabric, of course. You're going to configure your servers, your networking, and storage. And it's a once configuration fit all. So to demo this properly, if we go back to VM and services, and we come up here to create a service. And service templates are a beautiful thing in terms of deployment. The reason I'm saying this is this. Let's take a look at this. If we create a new service template and we hit OK, let's make a single machine here. And we'll select that and hit OK. Come on. Okay. So now we have our tier up. The next thing is now we need to configure this tier here as far as the server. So I can come here to view all properties. And in all view all properties, I want to go directly to hardware configuration. But before that, we know we can rename it, we can give a description. But this box here would save you guys a lot of headache. If this virtual machine itself goes down and it needs to be restored back, we can prevent this machine from being automatically migrated to another Hyper-V host that's in the platform. Our next step here is going into hardware configuration. In hardware configuration, we want to scroll all the way down to where our legacy network is, and we need to add a network in. So we'll browse, and we'll create a VM network, and we did not create a logical network. So I'm jumping ahead of myself. Let's get out of this right quick, and let's close this out for right now. I showed you guys the fabric. Let's get into networking. Let's create a logical network, and let's call this Tech Data Demo, and hit next. Then we're going to add it, and we're going to associate it with all hosts, and we'll insert the row, and we'll give it a subnet of say 192.168.0.0, and we're going to give it a /24, and we're going to hit next, finish. Another great thing about System Center Virtual Machine Manager is the jobs menu, and this is great for auditing. When we look at auditing, the fact to say that, okay, it wasn't me that did it is no longer applicable. It shows that I created all of these objects, when I created them, if I was successful, I created them. So it keeps a great track in terms of auditing. So we'll close this out. And let's head back over to VMs and services. And let's create a virtual network. And we'll call this demo net, and hit next, no isolation, and finished. And we're right back to that jobs menu again. It keeps queues with everything. So we'll close this out. And now we can go back to the service template. Go right back to creating a new one. We want a single machine. Hit OK, and now we can hit back to that single tier and view all properties. We'll check this box, we'll hit into hardware configuration, and then we'll head right back to network, connect to a VM, and it automatically populates. Our next step here is to configure our disks, and we'll use an existing hard disk. So we'll browse for one, and within Virtual Machine Manager, during installation, you have what is called the library. The library is where you would keep all of your virtual hard disks, your ISOs, your scripts, your PowerShell commandlets, the whole kit and caboodle in terms of a network share within the System Center suite. So what we like to do, we'll take the small VHD, we'll hit OK, and our OS configuration. This is my favorite part. Pick your flavor. Which one do you want to deploy? It's there. Everything is there. So I can say, well, I want a Server 2012 machine. Standard. I can put the administrator password here if I decide to, my product key, the time zone. Everything is just going 1, 2, 3 as far as deployment. What I want on the server as far as roles, everything is there for me just to deploy everything right out. Features is the same thing. I can also add this to a domain if I so desire. And then I can put an answer file if I'm leveraging WDS. It goes to say along with the configuration with application, with the application service, I can have my scripts and my applications added to this configuration. I can also put SQL in, and I can deploy SQL Server right here from a one-click installation. So custom properties we'll leave for right now. Our settings is also the same thing, dependencies, and then the validation errors, we'll hit OK. And then we want to save and validate. And now we're good to go with this machine template. The reason and the purpose for this machine template is this. Imagine if you had to deploy this machine 5 times across the network. I don't have to start from loading the Server 2012 or Pixie booting and then loading the software and installing the roles. I just utilize the service template, click the deploy button, and it deploys out to those 5 machines, those virtual machines, and we're up and going. So it greatly reduces deployment time. In production today, we've seen deployment time reduced from anywhere between 3 to 4 hours down to maybe 30 minutes to, I would say, realistically an hour. So VM Virtual Machine Manager within System Center SP1 is a huge benefit across the board. The next thing I do want to point out is that it doesn't only pertain to manageability. If I'm third party, if I'm selling Hyper-V solutions, I can sell these services out to my tenants or to my clients that would need to say, hey, I need a SQL server. Hey, I need an application server or web server. And I can charge them right back at that model. I can see what they're utilizing. How much would it be cost based on my business model? So System Center now is empowering IT, it's empowering the small businesses, it's empowering technology altogether as far as, okay, we know what we want. The question is now, how are we going to deploy it? Microsoft with Server 2012 and System Center, it just, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it because there's so much to go on. There's so many different solutions now we can deploy out to our clients. The next thing I do want to take a look at, and to speed up the demo's sake, is the App Controller. I'm going back to Virtual Machine Manager. App Controller is a beautiful addition to System Center Virtual Machine Manager. Here, I can leverage the cloud, meaning that I don't have to connect to Azure physically to deploy a machine. Here, I have 2 servers in Azure, all set and ready to go, and I can manage them from here. I can remote desktop out to them. So if I open this up and I hit on connect, I use another account and I hit OK. I'm now connecting to, if I typed in, oh.
And you got plenty of time, Adnan, so just so you know.
Trying to remember what I put in for the password now. Why is it not going in? So let's try connecting to another machine because I can't remember the password for that one. So open. Why is it bouncing back? Tell you what, let's head over to Azure. Let's move this out of the way. Those 2 virtual machines that I created in App Controller, they're here. So let me see if I can just get connected to it. Huh. Let's get another one created. I can't remember the password. I was tinkering around with it last night. So to deploy a virtual machine in Azure is fairly simple. I mean, an App Controller to Azure is fairly simple. We just select here, deploy, and we'll hit Cloud Configure, and we want to put it in our tech data account for this account, for this demo. Our next step, and we're going to walk the tree, is select an item. And we're going to select images, and from our images, we're going to take, let's take 2008 R2, hit OK, and then we're going to configure it, and we're going to create a new one, and we're going to name it Server 3, and we're going to put this in the Tech Demo Affinity Group. Keynote within Affinity Group in Azure, very important. With the Azure platform, data that goes outside of the data center, you're charged for. In Azure, what the Affinity Group does, it keeps all of your virtual machines, all of your storage, everything that relies internally communication-wise together. So if the East Region US data center goes down for some reason, the Affinity Group is going to migrate everything over to the West US, but everything is going to stay together instead of one virtual machine going to East Asia, the other one going to South Asia, and then one in the West US. So now every time those virtual machines communicate, now you're being charged left, right, and center for data going in and out of the data center. The Affinity Group keeps everything together. So we do want to have this server part of that Affinity Group, and we will hit OK. So now that's created as far as our cloud services deployment. So we'll select this one and we'll select OK. Our next step, walking the through, is configuring the virtual network. We'll call this demo net, and we'll put this a part of the tech demo virtual network. We'll hit OK, and we'll configure the virtual machine. The virtual machine name is the server 3. We'll take a small instance. We don't want an availability set for this one. And we'll go down. This is the general tab. We'll walk the tree, go to this. And let's browse the container for the images. And we do want to put this as part of our storage VHDs. So we'll hit OK. We'll head down to network. This is fine. All this is saying is that as far as Azure is concerned, you're using TCP with port 3389 to RDP to allow communication to this computer, to this virtual machine. We'll put in the administrator password, and we'll put this in, and we'll uncheck that, and we'll hit OK. So now we're all done, and we hit deploy. And notice it notifies us here that Windows Azure Virtual Machine deployment has started. If we head back over to Azure, we come here to our cloud services. Here's the third server being created, and we're waiting for production to start. This is really cool. And as time permits, you would see the virtual machine itself become available as the services become running. If we head back over to App Controller, and I refresh, still deploying. So depending on the Azure platform, this deployment can take anywhere between realistically 3 to 5 minutes to get up and running with a virtual machine. Heading back over to, whilst we're waiting for this to finish off, there's the virtual machine coming up. There it goes. So let's head back over to Virtual Machine Manager, and I do want to show you guys the library. In the library, everything that we have as far as configuration is applicable here. We have our templates here, the two that we just created. So if any other user wants to come in now and to leverage these two templates, they can. The beautiful part about this is that Microsoft themselves, they're going away from RDP. Come on. No, this is what I want. So if I log in with my client computer, let me get it turned on. And we're talking about the manageability. We're talking about being able to have more than one person on a server at a time. So we'll get logged in. And what I'm logging into is a Windows 8 machine, a client machine on the domain. So if I head over to desktop, and I hit my virtual machine manager, I can log in with my credentials, hit OK, or hit connect, I'm sorry. And once we get logged in, everything is pretty much the same as far as what we've done change-wise within the virtual machine environment. So now I don't have the RDP. I don't have to wait for Brian. I don't have to wait for Craig to finish with their RDP session for me to get in and do what I want to do. One other thing I do want to leverage is that if I come here to add a Hyper-V host and I hit next, the run as account is what I want to specify. So if I hit browse, I have two run as account here. Normally, when you're deploying a Hyper-V machine or any service that needs administrative privileges, you would have to wait for the enterprise administrator to come in and put his credentials, or you would have those credentials already applicable to you. In a secured environment, you would have to wait for the enterprise administrator to come in and put this information in. With Virtual Machine Manager, the run as account, I already have that administrative privilege. So I can select administrator, hit OK, bypass credentials, hit next, add the service I want, hit next, and then add it, and I'm off to the races doing what I need to do as a junior administrator. So we'll cancel out of that. And what I do want to take advantage of too as well, let's check back, because I do want to show you guys the app controller aspect from it. HTTPS. There it goes. So we'll get logged in. And keep in mind, we're doing everything from a client perspective. So now we're logged in, and the 3 virtual machines we created on the server we can manage from here. So we head over to virtual machines. Everything's there. We can see that the 3rd one here is provisioning. I don't know if we're going to have time to get into login. I can't remember what these 2 passwords are for some reason. So whilst the So that's provision. Let me try it one more time as far as remoting in. Let's hit open. Let's connect to it. And let's try SPS admin. Yeah, I can't remember the password for this for some reason. Try this one again. Yeah, I can't remember the password for that. But as far as deploying and as far as managing your virtual machines within Virtual Machine Manager in Azure, we can see that everything is easy and everything can be done from a central pane of glass. I'm still on my Windows 8 client. There's really no need for me to head back over to my Virtual Machine Manager server. Everything can be done from here. So it brings a new ideal. It brings a new terms of leveraging how you're going to deploy further solutions for customers. It just makes it a whole lot easier for everything just to be more efficient, more productive than they ever was. This is going to take a while to provision, it looks like. Let me take a look at Azure right quick. Because once I can RDP into the virtual machine, that will conclude my demo. Okay, those are the 3 cloud services, the virtual machines, or the virtual machine itself. Okay, so the 3rd one is running now. Cool. So we refresh. There it goes. So let's try logging into this one. Hopefully we got it right this time in terms of the password. So let's go back. Let's connect to this, see what's going on. I can't log in.
You at Starbucks?
No.
It could be a firewall too, wherever you're at.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. I see that happen at some places I go, like Kaiser and some others. That when I'm trying to do the demo, they're blocking the firewall out to get to it.
The thing is, I'm a corporate, and we have another system center downstairs, and this is a virtual machine I'm running everything from. I'm supposed to be on a segregated network, but I'm thinking that the firewall won't let me out at all. So I don't know, but as far as the communication goes, as far as creating the servers, they're there. The only thing is I just can't seem to connect, which is crazy. But again, that's on my part. My environment would allow it. But as far as the demos goes, I mean, that's pretty much it with our controller. Everything was easy to deploy, easy to get configured up and go in. The same thing with Virtual Machine Manager. I mean, Microsoft did an excellent job as far as revamping these tools to make us as administrators, our jobs a whole lot easier in terms of getting the job done, as far as being more efficient and more productive. This is this is a centrical, this is a very integral, part in IT where I'm seeing both in the field and in the different businesses and customers that we take care of, that we're leveraging these solutions in a new way. Cloud is something that's a part of us. PowerShell is something that's now a part of us. And when we think of these solutions, we need to start leveraging the software, and we need to start leveraging the platform that brings in those solutions to make us more capable, makes us sleep more easy at night, and makes things it's just easy, and it just works. So with that being said, I'll turn everything back over to Blaine and to John, and I'll try to keep on working on to see see if I can get a firewall rule created to allow me to connect from inside of the office out to Azure. Thank you. Blaine?
Thanks, Adnan. Yeah, we'll probably, if we got a little time, we can, if you get that going, just ping us and we'll go back to the RDP. Let's see what you created there. So good job. Yeah, it's probably a firewall. I've seen that. When you create it live on the fly like that and then try to connect and you've got it right there and then with the right password, then it's most likely a firewall. So keep working on that. I want to show them the end result on that. But this has been a fun series. I'm going to bring John back in. Hey, John, part 5 concluded. Anything that they want to see, or contact John or myself. We'll be happy to reach out and get the information that you need. If we don't know it offhand, we do know the folks to contact here at Microsoft. So use me as a resource. Once again, that's Blaine Barr, BLAINBAR at Microsoft.com. So definitely use me as a resource. I'll put that in the window there. And don't forget, the best way to learn the product is to get your hands on it. So definitely go up to ak.ms/tech data downloads and download Windows Server 2012. That would be super to get that loaded. Right now what I'm doing is I'm running 2012 bare metal, and then I've got Windows Server 2012 R2 preview. I've got 2012 R2 core and GUI all in there. So I can, and also Windows 8.1 preview. I have those all in Hyper-V, and I'm able to test those out and configure things. And so yeah, it's pretty neat to have that in virtualization and be able to do all the new things with R2. So I'd like to come back, John, if you have us back to talk about the R2 series once we come out of preview.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be sending out some information to everyone about the further series that we're going to have. Again, our thoughts is to do some stuff on Windows 8.1, R2, and then maybe some Azure stuff. So it looks like Adnan got it working. So if you want to go ahead and take back over and show that, that's fine.
Sure.
We still have another 10 minutes or so.
If he's there, yeah, we got some time. So and thanks for the attendees for being patient on that. But yeah, you want to go back to Adnan here?
Yeah,
that'd be great.
It was actually a wrong the wrong username. It was the wrong username. So if I head back, this is my corp machine, and on my corp machine, here are my RDP sessions going into those machines here via the cloud. That's the R2 machine we just created. If I minimize that, this is the Windows 2012 R2 machine we just created, all set and ready to go. So right from in my demo environment, from my client machine, I'm able to leverage the virtual machine environment as well as the app controller environment and connect. We're able to deploy and connect out to my machines with greater ease. I mean, this is beautiful. This is just beautiful. And the last one, we're going to remote desktop into this one too as well, just for the heck of it. Hit connect, and it's still, yeah, this one was the firewall altogether, but these two here, they were added. So we're all set and good to go as far as the connectivity there. I'm able to manage these machines in Azure and get the job done, all without connecting to Azure. And this is what we want as administrators. We want to centralize where our users go. We don't want to give them the password to Azure. We don't want to give them access to things that they don't need to have access to. And so, I mean, it just shows off itself. I'm loving it. RSAT is another thing that I just love that you can leverage. It's going to bring in that system center environment right over here with Active Directory, DNS, and IIS, all from my Windows 8 client. I mean, what do you want to do, and how do you want to do it? I mean, it's beautiful. The file server resource manager we talked about the last session. I mean, everything's here, all from my one client, and I'm able to get the job done. So with that, I'll turn everything back over to John and Blaine.
Thanks. Thanks for finishing the demo there, Adnan. And once again, that Mr. Adnan Cartwright, MVP for Windows Server and also deployment. So he's going to be kind of helping us out with some of the webcasts or webinars coming up in the future. So thanks.
Yes,
Back to you, John.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's pretty much everything we have for today. Again, if you have questions, we posted our emails. Again, at Tech Data, all you have to do is ask for John and the Microsoft guy. You'll get me. So that's pretty easy. If you guys have any questions, you feel free to, we can just have a few minutes here to take questions. You know, you can feel free to use the IM. Again, if you want to contact me, myself directly, that's fine. And then we've also posted the link to get the Azure 30-day trial. So if you want to try Azure, go ahead and you can hit that link and go to it and get signed up. But other than that, that's pretty much what we had. Again, if someone wants to ask a question now, you should be able to. It's up to you. I'll take that as a no. And then, again, a lot of ways for us to help you